everybody, it's Camille Martin with Love to Lose, where I teach you how to love your life and lose the weight. So it's the holidays, and my personal approach to the holidays used to be, in my former life as a binge eating drinker, binge everythinger basically, was that the holidays were a time for me to reward myself for being good all year. And my feeling sort of was like, I deserve to eat, I deserve to drink, I deserve to indulge because I've been so good and I've worked so hard. So what used to happen is that the holidays, starting with Thanksgiving, used to be, that was the kickoff to like a 6-week free-for-all, where I ended up having to double down and work extra hard starting in January for all of my, as payment for all of my bad behaviors and all of my blowing it out. So if you can relate to this, which I'm sure you probably can, this year I want you to do it a little bit differently. I learned from my many years of failure over the holidays that there are some really specific, very effective strategies that you can use to make sure that your holidays don't go completely off the rails. So I want to give those strategies to you today in the hopes that you can make some changes and start this year off on the right foot. Strategy number 1 is to remember the big picture. By taking the big picture long-term approach and mindset helps keep you out of that free-for-all mentality where you're looking at the holidays as this one special time of year where you can let it all hang out. For sure, the holidays are a very special time. There's very few other times of the year, except for right around Thanksgiving and Christmas, where all of your family gets together, all of your friends get together, and you celebrate, and that's a wonderful thing. But try to keep it in perspective. The holidays each year are just one point in the year, in your year of living healthy and taking care of your body and taking care of yourself. So try to keep the big picture in mind. The holidays, although they're special, are really just another time of the year where you are taking care of yourself and you're staying in the right frame of mind, because how special is it really to spend 6 weeks of your year blowing it out and not taking care of yourself? Strategy number 2, it's just as important the healthy behaviors you choose to add to your routine as it is the ones that you try not to engage in. In my opinion, it's so much more easy to add healthy behaviors than it is to stop behaving badly, I guess. Trying to eliminate bad behaviors and trying not to engage in the unhealthy behaviors that are the hallmark of the holidays usually, that creates massive resistance, which then pushes you to do those very things. So add a few healthy behaviors into your holiday routine. Things like go for a run or a long walk before you get to the party to get yourself in the right frame of mind. Dress up a little bit. Most of the holiday parties you do end up dressing up, but really take care how you look, because how you look determines how you feel, and it's a lot easier to be healthy when you're dressed nicely and you've put effort into the way that you look than it is to just roll up to the buffet in your sweatpants. Number 3, why don't you bring your own healthy dish? That way, there was nothing to eat, there was nothing healthy at the party is no longer your excuse. Strategy number 4 along these lines is, why don't you load up your plate with your healthy dish first before going back for seconds? And finally, this is one of my favorite strategies. Actually, now that I don't drink anymore, I don't need to use this. But back when I was drinking, making small talk was excruciating for me. I hated it. I hated making the rounds at a cocktail party. So what I did was I would show up to the party without having eaten anything, load up a glass of wine and start making the rounds. And the more stressful it was, the more I drank, and the more I drank, the less I cared about my healthy intentions. So here's one strategy that I think could be super helpful is, if you hate small talk as much as I do, before you get to the party, why don't you have a half of a glass of wine or a spritzer or something to take the edge off, and then when you get to the party, drink water while you make the rounds. So all of these adding these healthy behaviors makes it a lot easier to stick to your healthy plan. And it's a lot simpler to do that than it is to go to the party, try not to eat sweets, try not to drink too much, because that usually ends in one big failure. And along those lines comes strategy number 3, don't try to be good. Saying that you're gonna be good before you get to a party or a holiday gathering is setting yourself up for failure, because what you're doing is generating resistance. You're saying to yourself that you're not gonna do certain things. You're gonna be good instead of being bad. It's setting food up as the enemy. It's setting it up in an unhealthy way that makes it more desirable and makes you therefore more likely to go to the party and binge. What you wanna do is go into it with your allowing mindset. You're not being good or bad, you're just being. You're going to the party, you're gonna have fun, and if you indulge in a little bit too much food, too much alcohol, give yourself a break. It's not the end of the world. There's always another chance to start over at the next party, but definitely go into it with a mindset of not good, not bad, but I'm just here, I'm having fun, and I'm relaxed, and that reduces the resistance. Strategy number 4 is to stick to the tried and true tactics that we all know about. We've all heard them, but because we've heard them so frequently, we tend to discount them and sort of dismiss them altogether. But here are the tried and true that you're so familiar with, near and dear to all our hearts. Number 1, drink a glass of water before you even load up your plate to eat. That way you feel full before you even start serving yourself food. Number 2, when you load up your plate, make sure you serve yourself small portions, spread them out on the plate. Don't load it up with a bunch of food and overload it so that it's enough food for 3 people. Make yourself small portions. Number 3, don't eat while standing up, because you're not going to be mindful. Sit down before you eat. And while you're sitting down and while you're eating mindfully, put your fork down in between bites of food, because it really does take about 20 minutes for you to register that you're full. So putting your fork down in between bites forces you to eat more slowly. And the last tried and true that always works is along the same lines of waiting and having that 20 minutes pass by so that you're not as hungry and that you register the feeling of fullness, is to wait before you go and get a dessert. Wait about 10 minutes after you've finished your plate before you go up to the dessert bar and get a dessert. As I just said, it's okay to indulge a little bit over the holidays. It's okay to do things that are outside of your normal health routine. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. If you slip up and you overindulge, pick yourself back up the next day and get right back on track. It's okay. And always remember that you're doing these things not just to lose weight or to keep weight off. You're doing it for your health. You're doing it for longevity. And if you keep that in mind, it's a lot easier to stay on track. I hope these tips were really helpful to you, and I hope you can put them into practice this holiday season. Make sure you head to my website at CamilleMartinRD.com to get more tips, motivation, and inspiration on your weight loss journey. And I hope you have a fabulous, healthy, happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you here next time on Love to Lose.